What's up, y'all? I hope you're enjoying your weekend. Happy Sunday, first day of the week to y'all. Happy Feast of Unleavened Bread to y'all that know. If you know, you know. Happy weekend to everybody. Hopefully, you're enjoying your weekend. Hopefully, your family is enjoying the weekend and you're enjoying it with them. And everybody's safe and healthy. Blessings on your. What's up, Ron Cohen, Yuri, Jermaine, Bernadette? How you doing, Miss Lumley? How is everything? And I hope everybody is enjoying their weekend again. Good morning, Senior Beef, my man. So I got on early today, but not for the reasons you might think. The game is at 1:00. I'm going to be recording the game, the Nets game, at 1:00, and come back later and watch it because I'm going out with our boy. Organic Fanatic is my homie and my brother in my faith, and me and him are going shooting today at 1:00. And so it's hard to get the outdoor range that I like to go to. It's hard to get it, and so you got to book it weeks in advance. And so maybe about a month ago, I was able to book it for today from 1 to 3, and so we're going to be out there doing our thing today with that. But I'm going to tape the game, and then after we come back from shooting, I'll come back and watch the game. So that's why we're doing this a little earlier today. And I know a lot of y'all want to watch the game live, and you'll see it. So that's that. But want to go over our New York Knicks. Obviously, one of the characteristics of a lot of Knicks media and nation is to default to negative right away. When something is not looking good, they go deeper into a dark place and default, and everything is going to be bad, and the Knicks can't win, and the Knicks can't beat Detroit, and the Knicks can't beat this, and the Knicks that, and this. And these are fans, okay? And what it is, this is the thing. Let me just say this to y'all. And John Pettit, Cool Kyle G, my brother Lonnie, Kevin, New York City resident, Guilford McCormick, Soldier Sim, see my man Senior Beef, Curious Kev, what's up? Droop the Loop, Kevin Weston, how y'all doing? Hope everybody's good this morning. John Pettit, what's up, man? Don't want to miss you. There is a difference between being a fan of a sports team and being an analyst / journalist. There's a difference. So let's take the Knicks. I'm going to root for the Knicks and hope for the best, regardless of who's wearing the uniform. I was born in New York, born on Long Island, and I've been following the Knicks since I first started watching basketball. And fortunately for me, when I first started actually consciously watching basketball, the Knicks were really good. That's when they were winning championships, going to the playoffs every year. Walt Frazier has been in my consciousness since the beginning. Okay. Clyde has been in my consciousness since the beginning. And of course, after he finished playing and he became a Knicks sportscaster, a Knicks analyst, he's been obviously in all of our consciousness for a long time. So he's been part of my consciousness. Willis Reed was one of my early heroes. All of those guys, the Busher, Lucas, Dean Meminger, all those guys. And then, of course, later Earl of Pearl. I remember when Earl of Pearl was on the team called the Washington Bullets. And there was a big rivalry between the Knicks and the Bullets. And Earl of Pearl played a big role in that rivalry. And when he came to the Knicks, really and truly, when he came to the Knicks, he wasn't the same Earl of Pearl that played for the Bullets, but he was good enough, when you team with Clyde, to win it. And in fact, I was so deep at that time being a boy myself. And that's why I understand some of the young boys that come on here and actually, because I did the same thing. When they let Clyde, I don't know if it was a trade or it was a free agency or whatever, but when the Knicks allowed Clyde to walk out the door to Cleveland, I became a Celtics fan for like 2 years. I was so mad that they did that. I was so mad that I couldn't even watch a game with Clyde Frazier wearing a Cavaliers uniform. That's how mad I was. And I became a Celtics fan just out of sheer spite because I was so mad that they let Clyde walk out the door. And when he came back I got over that. I think what brought me out of it was I think when the Knicks drafted Cartwright, I think I came back, and then definitely when they picked up Bernard King, that caused me to definitely be all back in with the Knicks again. Because Bernard King, y'all know he was from Fort Hamilton, and we knew of Bernard King when he was like, I knew of him when he was in high school. I mean, that's he went like he was very famous, you know, in high school, and then his brother was supposed to be better than him. I don't know if you remember, but at that time they were talking about his brother being even better. And his brother had, like, one time he had scored like 42 points and he shot all jumpers and he was like 20 or 21 or some craziness like that. Albert. And so everybody was like, Albert's going to be better, you know, but it didn't turn out that way. But Bernard was always that dude. And when he went to Tennessee and he played with Ernie Grunfeld, and they called it, you know, Sports Illustrated had a thing where they called it the Ernie and Bernie show or whatever. But Bernard was a dude, man. He was one of them New York dudes. So he had went to the Nets, and then he went out to play in Golden State. And there was a lot of rumors about him having alcohol issues, you know, and that it went back even to Tennessee. And that was not uncommon at that time. There was a lot of great ball players. If you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about, that played on the playground that had alcohol issues and never really got a chance to show, you know, on a big stage what they were. But, you know, if you're in New York, you've seen them. There was a lot of really pro level players on playgrounds, all the way from like the Bronx, all the way down into the city, all the way out to Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. There was a lot of great basketball talent in New York that got I guess short circuited due to alcohol issues, you know. Yeah, and then some of them even got on drugs like Earl Manigault. I've heard of the GOAT, but I never really seen him or anything. Everybody heard of him, you know, but when I was coming up, but I didn't really. And I used to one time, one of the fathers in the neighborhood used to take us to see the summer league they play at City College. I don't know if they still do that, but they used to play. The pros used to come to City College in New York, and they used to sometimes play summer league, and you could see some of them at the summer league at that time. That was a long time ago, early 70s. But that's how far back I go with the Knicks. And that's what kind of love relationship I have with that team. So regardless of who is wearing the orange and blue, I'm always going to be rooting for the orange and blue. What makes this time of life different for me is two things. I'm much older now, so I've seen a lot, you know, over the course of decades with the Knicks, and I'm finally seeing a team that is built properly. Since Frazier was on the team, the Knicks have not been put together properly for one reason or another. I mean, right? Like if you look back on it, right, you get a Patrick Ewing out of Georgetown. What you would immediately be thinking is, who are we going to pair with this kid that's a prodigal type of player, a Hall of Fame talent type of guy. And when Ewing came out of Georgetown, he was known for his defense, rebounding and defense. That was his game. When he got to the Knicks, he became an offensive threat. But when he was at Georgetown, nobody knew he could do offensively what he became later. But what we was wondering is, who are we going to get to pair with this guy that we had, and they never did it. They never went out and really spent the money or spent the energy, to me, to go get another guy that was like Pippen and Jordan type guy. They never went and did that. They were good when Pat Riley came. And let me tell you, it was Pat Riley that built the defensive culture that the Knicks had at that time, because Pat Riley, like, they weren't listening to him in terms of what talent to get, but he took what they gave him and worked with it. That's what he did. And that's why there's a couple of different types of coaches. Riley is one of those guys that really doesn't have a style. He works with what he has and optimizes what he got. Okay, so when he had Magic and Kareem, and then they went and got Worthy, and they went and got Byron Scott. Byron Scott used to ball. You know, I know most people look at him as a coach now, but he used to ball, and he took the place of another dude named Norm Nixon that used to ball. And what they did is they called it, you know, it was a fast breaking team. Okay? It was a glamour team. They, you know, there was fast breaks, there was, you know, fancy passes, and they played defense as well. But later on, in his later years, Showtime, right? That's why it was Showtime, because they had that type of team that could do that. Michael Cooper, Norm Nixon, they had a squad at that time, right? But then later in the 80s, they didn't have the same style. And he changed the style up. Later on, Kareem was too old to be running like that. He still had the unstoppable sky hook, but he could not run the floor like he did 10 years before. Okay. So Riley changed the style to more half court and more defensive oriented. And fortunately, between Magic and Worthy and Jabbar, he had the talent to make that happen. When he came to New York, he was dealing with Oakley, he was dealing with Ewing, he was dealing with Doc Rivers. If you remember, Doc Rivers on that team. He had 1 year of Xavier McDaniel. So he turned that team into a defensive, physical team, because that's what the type of players they had. They didn't have Starks when he first came. He got Starks after, but he turned that team into a defensive team, because that's what he had to work with. He turned it into and then they got Starks, and they became like Broadway bullies. They were bullying dudes. They were beating up dudes. And with Xavier McDaniel only played 1 year, but they had Oakley, McDaniel, Ewing, Doc Rivers, Rolando Blackman. They had a dude named Harper that was from Dallas. They had him, and they got Blackman from Dallas too. These guys were not flashy. They were not great offensive talents, but they were tough. All of them was tough. Okay, they were tough dudes. Toward the end of his tenure, he brought in Anthony Mason, who really, after he left, Mason became really more picked up when Don Nelson was the coach. Don Nelson became the coach. So what happened now, they made mistakes. Speaking of what you said, Guilford, they let Xavier McDaniel go. That was bad news. They shouldn't have done that. They got him from Seattle. They let him go. I don't know why they did that. To this day, even I heard McDaniel himself say he don't know why he didn't come back to the Knicks. He would have come back to the Knicks. But they were making very bad decisions. And Riley wanted more power. He wanted more decision-making power, which, you know, judging from his tenure with the Lakers, you would want to give him that, but the Knicks didn't. And he got pissed off, and he faxed in his resignation, and Miami offered him whatever he wanted. And he became the president, the coach, everything. And he handled everything. And he was smart enough not only to put together a Miami team, but later on, he was smart enough to let Spoelstra take over as the coach. Before Spoelstra, I think they had Stan Albeck, might have been Albeck or Van Gundy. One of them was the coach. Then he put Spoelstra in there, who he had handpicked, who he had hand trained, who nobody knew anything about. Spoelstra was in there, and he became what he is now, president of basketball operations and basically de facto general manager. See, so I've seen the Knicks through all these iterations, and when they got, and I saw when Golden State caused the dude that was the agent to become their general manager, and then they wanted Chip. And then I saw the Knicks hire Leon Rose, and I wasn't sure myself how that was going to work out, because, you know, that was a new phenomenon. And I know that the Don was, I knew that the owner was copying what the Golden State Warriors did. He was just copying what the Golden State Warriors did. So, but I'd say he got hired in it was like March of 2020, somewhere around there. Within 6 months, the cat was making moves that I saw that teams that end up being champions make. Dolan was trying to copy Golden State. And when I saw the moves he was making, like I'll never forget, he turned a journeyman into 2 second-round picks in one weekend. I watched it. He picks up this journeyman. I forgot the dude's name. He picked up this journeyman, guy that had been on like 8 different teams, and flipped him for 2 second-round picks. And I was like, okay. See, because at that time, you're talking about rebuild. When you talk about rebuild, you got to get picks, even second-round picks, if you know what you're doing. If you, as y'all can see now, because Mitchell Robinson, second-round pick, Deuce McBride, second-round pick, Jalen Brunson, second-round pick. So if you know what you're doing, you can build a nice team on second-round picks. So he would pick, and I knew that. So I was like, this dude picking up picks already. He gathering the other assets, and then you had the Mills had already accumulated some assets, so they was building on that for the rebuild. And then they bring in Tibbs, which I said before many times. Tibbs has always been one of my favorite coaches. I favored a couple of coaches above him. Like I really wanted Atkinson because of what he did in Brooklyn. I really wanted him. And then, of course, I think most of us that are Knicks fans wanted, we all wanted Mark Jackson, right? I think most of us would love Mark Jackson, but Mark Jackson has been, it's obvious he's been blackballed. Mark Jackson is not head coach in the NBA. It's not because he don't know what he's doing. It's because he's been blackballed. Nobody will say that because they can get sued, but it's obvious he's been blackballed. If he can't get a job in New York, he's been blackballed, okay? So it was Mark Jackson or Atkinson, but after them, it was I wanted Thibodeau because Thibodeau was Riley type tough, Riley type defense, no nonsense, no BS, straight out. And if you was on, you was on. If you wasn't, you wasn't. If he liked you, you was in. If he doesn't, get out of here. That's how he went. The only thing that bothered me about Tibbs was that he didn't like to play rookies. And at the time, we had RJ Barrett. And there was a lot of rumors that summer that he was trying to trade RJ Barrett. And I did not want to trade RJ Barrett at that stage of the rebuild, which he didn't. That was my only concern, that he didn't like to play rookies at all. And he had always been like that since he was in Chicago. He really come up old school, and that's the old school way. See, that's what a lot of youngins don't understand. Back in the NBA days, back when I first started watching, rookies didn't play unless they was on a sucky team. Okay, if you was on a team that was going in the playoffs and you was a rookie, you ain't play. Period. You had to bide your time and earn your way. Okay, and the main reason was the NBA was much more physical at that time, and you had to learn the physicality and the defensive of the NBA. Otherwise, you couldn't play. That's just how it was. And Tibbs, was cut in that mold. Tibbs was cut in that mold. Okay, so he come out of that mold. That's why you don't see him playing rookies now. He's cut in that mold. You gotta earn your way. You gotta pay your dues. And he will say, the way he says it is, you gotta learn the NBA game. That's what he says. He said it about Kolek. He said it about Porter. He said about all the rookies. You gotta learn the NBA game, unless he has an exception, which is Emmanuel Quickly. He said that he was watching Emmanuel Quickly even before Emmanuel Quickly went to Kentucky. When I saw that, I said, oh, that makes sense. Because honestly, when Quickly was coming out of Kentucky, I wanted Maxey. I thought Maxey was better. I still think Maxey's better. And I said, man, we can get Maxey. And I couldn't believe that when it came down into the 20s, Maxey was still on the board. I couldn't believe that. So I was like, we got to get Maxey. But Tibbs and Worldwide West wanted Emmanuel Quickly. And I didn't think Quickly was a bad player. I just didn't think he was Maxey. I wanted Maxey. And I think we can all agree now, you look at it now, Maxey is the better player, right? So I wanted Maxey at that time. There was 2 guys I wanted that was coming out, Maxey or Desmond Bane, right? He also was coming out at that time. I said, man, if we can get one of those 2 dudes, because to me, I thought Maxey would go in the lottery. He didn't, but I thought he would go in the lottery. So I didn't think we had a shot at him. But I thought we had a chance to get Desmond Bane, and I thought Bane was being slept on. If you look at it now, I was right. because Bain is really good, right? So I was like, man, we can get this guy. He was in Texas Christian. I said, we can get this guy to TCU. We can get something, man, because this guy was good. And I was like, can we get Bain? I didn't think we had a shot at Maxey. But when the draft came and it was got like 19 and Maxey was still there and the Knicks were coming up on their pick, I was like, man, we gotta get Maxey. But later on, I would find out that World Wide West and Tibbs were pushing Rose to get Quickly. And, Quickly was not a bad pick, right? But what you notice is I think Quickly played more minutes as a rookie. If you look at all the rookies that Tibbs has coached as rookies. Now, many people make the mistake and think Tibbs coached D. Rose as a rookie. He did not. Derrick Rose was in his third season when Tibbs became coach of the Chicago Bulls. He was in his third season. Del Negro was Rose's first coach, not Tibbs. Del Negro was Rose's first coach in Chicago, but Tibbs came later. But if you look at all the rookies that he has coached, I think you will find that there were two guys that played more minutes than all the other rookies. One of them is Quickly, and the other dude is he's playing now, but he's not all that. He plays good defense. I forgot. Tibbs drafted him in Minnesota when Tibbs was the general manager and the coach. I forgot the guy's name, but that's how good he was. But usually a rookie in Tibbs' system might get 8 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe in a game, as Okogie. Thank you, Guilford. He drafted Okogie in Minnesota. And Okogie got minutes as a rookie. So did Quickly. But usually that ain't going to happen, okay? Now, Quickly, we saw Quickly. I mean, he had the runner. He was very confident, right? Quickly was very confident. He Quickly was never, one thing we could say, he was never shy. Nobody ever intimidated him, right? He had to learn NBA defense like every other rookie, but Tibbs was giving him more rope than any other, most rookies, Deuce, no rookie gets that kind of rope that he gave to Quickly. And so that was why I called Quickly his grandson, because I ain't never seen not Jimmy Butler. He had Jimmy Butler as a rookie. Butler got like 8 minutes a game as a rookie. Okay, so that's how Tibbs do it, though. He's old school. So, but Quickly was coming out like he was a vet from the rookie year. You know what I mean? So Tibbs had his back from the beginning. It was like almost like he was a vet because Tibbs didn't think he could do anything wrong. I don't think I even ever seen Tibbs getting his ass like he getting some other people's ass, especially rookies. But he loved Quickly. So. To Quickly play, but some people was all tripping because they expected him to play all rookies like that. Like, I can never forget last summer when people thought Kolek was going to be in the rotation. That killed me. It still kills me. I think about it. I still can't. But people thought Kolek was going to be in, and it was crying when he was. And I told y'all he going to rack up DNP CDs. He going to rack them up. He's a rookie. Okay, you might see him play when everybody's hurt, which is when you've seen him. But if you look at what we're going to talk about, the lineups with him in it, they're mostly negative. Big time negative. Why? Because he cannot play NBA level defense. Okay, period. He's still learning how to play NBA level offense in terms of shooting. The thing that gets Kolek in the league is his elite vision. He can see, he can pass. He's an elite passer. There's no doubt. That's why he's in the league. You got to have something to get in the league. That's what caused him to get there. But he's still got to learn how to play NBA level defense, and he's got to be able to shoot on the NBA level. He's showing flashes of it, just like Deuce did when Deuce first started. But he'll eventually pick it up. The defensive side, though, we got to see. I mean, obviously Tibbs believes in him because Tibbs pushed together. So, Tibbs obviously believes that the kid has the ability to pick it up. Otherwise, he wouldn't have drafted him. See, so we'll see. But right now, okay, look, that's why I am unapologetic. Somebody said you're too sensitive with Tibbs. F you. I've seen too many bad coaches on the sidelines in New York to be complaining about Tom Thibodeau, who's making his fourth playoff appearance in 5 seasons. I've seen too many. See, so I have zero. And I keep telling people that, but they keep coming on my channel thinking that maybe you didn't hear what I said. No, I'm not having it. The thing that helps a team develop, and listen now, and y'all know me, some of y'all know me, Richard Baptiste Pettit, y'all know Guilford, Jay, Supreme. What I am interested in, after all these years, 50 plus years of watching the Knicks, what I am interested in is long-term, sustainable winning. If you are a team and cultures of long-term sustainable winning, you always have a chance. You're always in the mix for a championship. Okay, you're always in the mix if you build a culture and an organization and a team of long-term sustainable winning. One of the tenets of teams that have long-term sustainable winning is that they keep their coaching staff intact. The Knicks before Tibbs were changing coaches. What y'all say? Like every 2 years, sometimes 1 year. Very few people lasted. Like I think D'Antoni lasted 3 years. I don't think. Who else? What was that? What was the guy in Indiana? He didn't. I think he lasted maybe 3 years. And so, in every season in New York, I'd say from the time Jeff Van Gundy left, right? People were calling for the coach to be fired every season, no matter who it was. Lenny Wilkins was here. Lenny Wilkins, man, legend. People, Larry Brown, and then Isaiah. They would call and pretty much Dolan was listening to y'all, which is what bothers me, because Dolan was listening to y'all and firing these guys every couple of years. We couldn't even keep a coach. As long as you don't have a steadiness and a continuity in the coaching ranks, you're never going to be long-term sustainable winners. It can't happen. You can't have a merry-go-round of coaches and win long-term. Now, if you're not interested in this is what I think about some Knicks fans. They're really not interested in long-term sustainable winning. They're not. They're looking for a flash in the pan. They don't care if it's 1 year, right? But I want to see a situation where you go into a preseason and even the haters say, okay, Knicks are going to make the playoffs. See, y'all don't understand. There was a time when, before the preseason, it was always the Knicks going to win 20 games, or the Knicks going to win 17 games, or the Knicks going to win 25 games. It was never the Knicks are top 6 in the East. It was never that until Tibbs came. Okay. So now, this past season, everybody understood the Knicks were top 6. Some had Philly in front of them, right? Bucks, right? I never did that, as y'all know. I never believed in the Philadelphia 76ers because I don't believe in Joel Embiid. And I never believed the Bucks because I didn't believe that Dame Dollar could bring them to the heights people thought they could. But everybody, even the haters, knew the Knicks were top 6 in the East. Okay? So that's where you have arrived, when anybody would look like an idiot saying you're not top 6. And the Knicks are there. Okay? The Knicks are there. So even BSPN knows they're top 6 in the East. Okay? You might rank them 12th on your power rankings or 15th or whatever, but you know they're top 6 in the East. That's long-term sustainable win. That's when you built something that everybody now recognizes. Oh, so the Knicks, okay, so we're looking at playoff teams. We know it's going to be Cavs, Boston, Celtics, Knicks. When you see that, you've arrived. That's where the Knicks are. What you don't want to do is start switching coaches now that you finally got here. How long has Eric Spoelstra been coaching in Miami? Y'all know? How long has Eric Spoelstra been coaching in Miami? I'd say at least 15 years, right? Maybe 20. What y'all think? He's been there a long time, right? How many championships do they have since Eric Spoelstra has been coaching them? How many championships do they have in Miami? Miami has 3 since Eric Spoelstra has been the coach. He's got 3 championships. Would you like the Knicks to have 3 championships in 17 years? Would that make you happy? It would make me happy. And every single year, no matter what team Miami has, everybody knows come playoff time, they're going to be in the mix, no matter who they have. They can pick up 5 guys from the G League. And everybody knows with that culture, with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they're going to make these guys into NBA players, and they'll be in the mix. That's what I want. See, that's what I want. I want that. You have San Antonio, who won 5 chips between David Robinson, right, and Tim Duncan. They won 5 chips. They were so good that some of the best coaches you have today were guys that were assistants in San Antonio. I want that. I want that. You understand? That's what I want. And I understand it doesn't happen overnight. And I understand if you go through losing streaks, you don't just fire the coach because you don't like what he's doing. You understand? You got to look longer term. Okay? Okay? So that's what I'm saying. So with Tibbs, I am very confident with the team we now have. Like some knucklehead kill my team. Well, we could never win a championship as long as Carlton Towns is there. What? Because he had some bad games where he can't play no defense? Come on, man. Stop. Sam, get carried away, man. Don't get carried away. Okay? You got to have a long-term view if you want a long-term sustainable win. Does that make sense, y'all? You got to have a longer-term view if you want a long-term. You can't be overreacting to 1 week or 1 game. You can't overreact because that's not long-term. You got to look longer term. This team is built to play together for at least, I'm going to be conservative, the next 3, after this season, they're going to at least have 3 more seasons together. So wait, this team, just as it is, okay? Something from Brooklyn, thanks for the $5. Thanks for the $5. I need to hear you give us some positivity about the Knicks after sports. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because, okay, this team is built to play together for 3 more seasons. Let me ask you a very basic question. Are you ready? Can this team improve by playing the same team together over the next 3 seasons? Same, let's just say exactly the same team. There might be some tweaks here and there, but I'm saying, let's just assume it's exactly the same team that you see right now from 1 through 10. If they play together for 3 more seasons after this, can they get better? So why would we want to trade that? Why would we want to make any trades when we finally got a team that if stuck together? Because it's not just the coaches that we used to change every 2 years. We have almost a whole new roster every year. Y'all remember that? There was almost a whole new roster every year. You can't win like that. You can't. You got to keep some guys that's your core guys that'll get you. And what the Knicks did so well is they drafted IQ, they drafted RJ, right? And they had some players. They kept IQ and RJ as part of the building of the culture. They went and got Randall. And you know what? I don't care what. Tibbs turned Randall into an NBA All-Star and an All-NBA player. It was Tibbs that did that. Because before that, he wasn't playing like that. He was a turnover waiting to happen when he was in LA. He was a turnover waiting to happen when he was in New Orleans. He came to New York and became all NBA. That's Tom Thibodeau right there. So anybody talking about he don't know how to develop, go do something else, man. Don't come here with that. Because I watched him turn that dude that was a turnover waiting to happen into an all-star and an all-NBA player. Okay? Yeah, exactly. I do remember that. Matter of fact, I have to be honest. I thought Popovich was a fluke too. I thought he won by luck. That first championship they got with him and Tim Duncan, I said, who is this Popovich? I had never heard of him. I said, who is this dude, man? This dude won by luck. He ain't gonna last. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Now the dude's a legend, man. So thanks for the $5, L. But yeah, I learned over the course of time. But that's what we built in New York. So yeah, HM Money, give me Juju and Dante back, take Cat McCall back. See, that's the kind of BS you don't want. You're invested in Mikal Bridges. You're invested in Karl Anthony Towns. Don't be like dudes on the stock market. When it drops, you sell. That's when you lose. You don't sell when the stock market drops. You hold or you buy more because now you're buying cheaper. But most people go with their emotions. Am I right? And they sell. See, you don't lose until you sell. Let's say you had 100 shares of Microsoft, right? You had 100 shares of Microsoft and you bought the 100 shares of Microsoft. It cost you, let's just say it cost you $10 a share, right? So now the price drops down to $3 a share. If you sell your 100 shares, you just lost money. But if you hold on to them, you still own it. You haven't lost yet. You still own 100 shares of Microsoft. When it goes to 20, now you're in the money because now you held on, you still own. If you want to sell, then that's when to sell. People are talking about getting rid of Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges after 1 year together. What is wrong with y'all? Come on, man. Can you look longer term? And freak what we were, that's gone. DiVincenzo and Jew ain't going to be back. They're gone. Can we move forward now and look at what we got and play with what we got? Can we do that without looking back, wet dreaming about what ain't here? Can we do that? Y'all following me? Can we stop that? It's over. They ain't coming back. They ain't coming back. Oh, I see it, Yuri. Don't worry. I see it. They ain't coming back. So forget them. We good now, and we gonna be good for the next 3 years. Okay. Jeff Abramson, who gives a flop what you want to see? I want to see long-term sustainable winning, and we finally got it. I don't care what the style is. See, that's what y'all. Some of y'all, there was in Jamaica, there was a dude I knew, old dude, and he used to say this: as a rule, man is a fool. When it is hot, he wants it cool. When it is cool, he wants it hot. Always wanting what is not. And that's Knicks fans. As a rule, fans are a fool. When it is hot, they want it cool. When it is cool, they want it hot. Always wanting what is not. My gosh, man. Some of y'all are just sad. And you bring your sadness. See, I don't care if you bring that psychological negativity and darkness to X or Twitter. Go do that. Just don't bring it to me. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it. I don't care how you feel about the style of the Knicks. That's our team. And they shouldn't change because your amateur ass want them to change. Some of y'all really, man. Come on, man. Damn. Oh, yeah. I see it, Victor Becky. Believe me, it's going to happen suddenly. It's going to happen suddenly. Some of them are just whiny bitches. That's right. L, thanks for the $2. Just whiny bitches, man. And that's why I told somebody, some people think they're GMs. Some people think they coaches. Some people think they owners. But really what they are is whiny bitches. That's what they are. Whiny bitches. That's what y'all are. Just whiny bitches. Stop it. Okay? So we good, just as it is. And Flock last year. H Money, what the hell you mentioning last year for? This ain't last year. This 2025. Get with the program. This ain't 2024. Stop it. Damn, what the hell you care about last year? We was really good when we had Ewing. You want to go bring him back? Oh my gosh, man. Or you're just an a-hole that needs to be gone. How about that? Or you're just an a-hole that needs to be put out like that. How about that? Why don't we stop tripping on the Knicks and look in the mirror? Okay? Why don't we stop that? Stop tripping on the Knicks, look in the mirror. The problem ain't the Knicks. The problem's in your mirror, really. It ain't with Tibbs. It's in your mirror. That's the problem. The Knicks are going to be fine. Now, this week, and this is another thing. Some of y'all pick up these cliches. Ain't never coached a damn game in the NBA in your life. And you pick up these cliches and you start using them. Like, there's no excuses. if you got any kind of rationality, and I know that's hard to find in Knicks Nation, somebody that can think objectively and rationally is very rare in Knicks Nation. Very rare. But there's excuses and there's legitimate reasons. They're two different things, and they both exist. Okay? The second night of a back-to-back is always difficult. So if the Knicks lose on the second night of a back-to-back, it's not an excuse to say it's the second night of a back-to-back. It's a reason. Reason is thinking. Excuse is saying, I don't want to do the work. But the Knicks do want to do the work. The second nights of back-to-backs are difficult. It's not an excuse to say the 82-game season is a grind and people go through lack of energy. It happens to every team. And that's another thing. I don't know why some Knicks fans act like the New York Knicks are the only team that should never get tired. And if they get tired, it's something wrong with the coach. Every single team gets tired. Everyone. Go through energy slumps. Everyone. Okay? All of them. From the top to the bottom. Some more than others. But it happens to everybody. So when it happens to the Knicks, you should not be tripping about firing the coach or something's wrong. It happens. And then there's some idiots that come on talking about they can't win like this and they're third in the East. So look, if they can't win, why are they third in the East? If they can't win, why are they third in the East? Generally, you consider a team that wins 50 games in the season a successful team, right? I mean, in the NBA, right? If you win 50 games in the NBA season, you had a successful season by any standard. And yet you got people in New York saying the team sucks because all they won is 50 games. We just had a couple of them. I just got rid of one. Or the Knicks suck, or you're just stupid. Oh, we got him, Yuri. No, I got you. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be able to think reasonably. If the Knicks have won 50 games, you cannot say they suck. I want to make sure you all heard that. If the Knicks won 50 games in a season, you cannot say they suck. If they play and they're the third in the Eastern Conference, you cannot say they suck because that's not even right. They don't suck. They may not be as good as you'd like them to be, perfect. And that's another thing. Some of y'all expect perfection when you are the most flawed people on the planet. That's the thing that kills me. Some of y'all are very flawed, and you can sit on your keyboard and expect perfection from the Knicks and trip when they don't have it. I was telling Josh Hart yesterday. Josh Hart said, man, some of the haters are the loudest. And I said, the reason they the loudest is because they talk out of two orifices. That's why they the loudest. They talk out their mouth and their ass. That's why they the loudest. You understand? And I don't want them here, Curious. I don't want them here. I really don't. I don't want you here. If you want to think you're going to get on your keyboard and jerk on one thing and then come on my channel and strip on, you got others. I got to give you another wake-up call. You're not doing that here. Okay? You just know. It's not going to happen. This ain't the channel for you to speak your negativity. Go to Dr. Phil's couch or visit Oprah or go see your therapist about that. Lay down on their couch and talk about it. But don't bring it here. And that's the difference. I'm a Knicks fan. I do analysis, and y'all have seen that. But that's not my forte. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm a Knicks fan, which means I don't care what it looks like. I'm always going to believe they're going to win. Listen to me now. I'm just keeping it a buck. Keeping it a buck is for people that's trying to be journalists. Like when you're on ESPN, NBC, TNT, they're supposed to keep it a buck. And you can even know that they're even biased against the Knicks. Am I lying to you? TNT is supposed to be unbiased. They're not supposed to choose a team and say, I just hate this team. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be unbiased. And you get knuckleheads listening to them and coming here being negative. I'm just trying to keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. Get the hell out of here with your buck. Take you and your buck and get on the subway train and keep on going. 29, 21, yeah, thanks for the talk. If New York third in the East sucks, right? Exactly. I'm trying to say, man, how could you say a team sucks because they lost a few games? Anyway, let's talk about positive. So the Knicks lost to Cleveland. I watched the game yesterday. I don't know how many of y'all watched the game, but they made some miscues down the stretch. Not only that, there was a slight difference in how Thibodeau played the team yesterday. Generally speaking, have you noticed what Tibbs' habit is he starts the fourth quarter with some bench pieces. And then at some point, usually around 8 minutes, he puts his starters back in. Y'all know that? Y'all ever notice that? So he plays like he'll start the fourth with some bench pieces. Like Deuce will be in there. A couple of dudes will be in there. And then about 8 minutes left in the fourth, thereabout, he'll put his starters back in and he finishes the game with the starters. You know what I noticed yesterday? I don't know if y'all caught this. About 8 minutes, okay, when he would normally sub dudes in, he not only didn't do it then, it was at that time it was announced the Pacers lost. Either Mike Breen or Clyde said the Pacers lost, so the Knicks have now got the third seed. Then they showed that Detroit lost to the Bucks, and Detroit's going to be 6. So the Knicks, at that 8 minute mark, they knew they were going to be playing Detroit. They also knew they had the third seed locked up. And Tibbs had not put the subs in. So then it was about, I think, 5 minutes left. Then he puts OG McCall back in. He puts Brunson back in for like the last 2 minutes. And they almost won the game. You know what cost them that game? Did you see OG miss that fast break layup? Now, how many times are you going to see OG and miss a fast break layup? First of all, he normally dunks the layup. He would normally dunk that. He did not dunk it yesterday. He tried to lay it up and he missed. That was a big play. That was a major play. I think it was a 2-point game at that point. So, and the comeback that Cleveland made was against the Knicks bench, which is why I didn't think we were going to see, honestly, I didn't think you'd see OG or McCall or Brunson for the rest of the game because they made that run. I think Hart was in the game as a starter and Mitchell Robinson, and they made the run. By the way, whenever I see the Knicks lose a few games in a row, I go back in the stats. I start looking at, especially the lineup rotations, okay? Do you know the two of the rotation, like the worst guy for the Knicks as far as plus minus is Kolek. When he's in the game, they don't do good in the long return. Like I said, diminishing return. But aside from rookies, when you're looking at the rotation, the worst two guys together is Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson. You take one of them out and you put McBride in there, it changes everything. It changes everything. If it's McBride and Hart, they're positive. If it's Robinson and McBride, it's positive. And in fact, their best lineups include McBride without Hart. It's the same starting five, but you take out Hart, you put in McBride, and they're rolling. They're like plus 15 or something. So, and this is what I think some of us make mistakes like this. So you would think, right? If I said that to you over the course of this season, the five of the same five, but you take out Hart, you put in McBride, right? Y'all would say, well, you should start McBride. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? You'd say, you should, right? See, Jose Vasquez, quick. You should start McBride then, right? You should start McBride, right? But no, that's not how you do it. Just because a guy doesn't start doesn't mean you can't play that unit heavy minutes during the course of a game. So you don't need to start McBride, but you need to have minutes with that crew in it with McBride. Okay, y'all hearing me? That's the difference right there. So you don't need to start McBride and put Hart on the bench to make that effective. You can still play the minutes because that's how I found it, because they played like 800 minutes together or something like that. That's how I said, oh, you take Hart out and you put McBride in and they're good. That don't mean you get rid of Hart from the starting lineup. It does mean you play that unit more minutes. Okay, you could sub out Hart, put Deuce in there, keep that unit running. You can also start the fourth quarter with that unit, right? That's better. Yeah, and Brunson and McBride are great together, man. The plus minus is really good with them too. So especially if you throw in it like a 4-man unit of McBride, Brunson, OG, and McCall is dynamite. That's a dynamite unit statistically. So what I notice, if I notice this, then I know Tibbs notices it because Tibbs studies the game more than I do, certainly. That's his job, and he spends all day looking at film and looking at stats. Thanks for the 2000 McBride is our flex tip. Yep, that's right. Exactly right, L. I agree with that. And I think McBride and OG are the 2 wild cards for the playoffs. What do y'all think? I think those are the 2 biggest wild cards. We're going to, like the game we had lost to Cleveland. If you look at the stats, have any of y'all looked at the stats? Have you looked at the box score stats of that game, the Cleveland game we just lost on Friday? I'm going to ask you before I say, what stuck out to you in the stats? What stuck out in the stats to you in that game? What stat? Give me a stat. Is it assists? Is it free throw? What stuck out to you? Because sometimes you could look at the game and look at the stats and tell why the game was lost. Rebounding, that's right. That's exactly right, Yuri. As far as turnovers, the Knicks only had 8 turnovers that game. They only had 8 turnovers, and Cleveland had 15. The Knicks shot 20 free throws. Cleveland shot 30. So that was one of them. And you shouldn't have that kind of a discrepancy on the free throw line. But as far as rebounding, the Knicks had 35 rebounds. The Cleveland Cavaliers had 49 rebounds. That's where the game was lost right there. That was it. And it was offensive rebound. Thank you, Kurt. It was offensive rebounding. If you look at the rebounding, Cleveland had 13 offensive rebounds. The Knicks had 10. There's your game. That's your game right there. Okay. So the free throw discrepancy was one thing, and the rebounding was another. Now, in terms of the free throw discrepancy over a 7-game series, you expect it to even out, right? This is one game. So, obviously the refs did not do a good job in keeping the free throws should be pretty even for all teams, right? But so you expect over a 7-game series, the free throws to even out. But the rebounding, and this is the Mitch Rock, right? This is the Mitch Rock. You got to have the rebound. Now, as much as Karl Anthony Towns is a liability defensively, he is not a liability on the boards. I mean, right? I mean, he gets what does he average? Like 12? He averages at least 12 rebounds a game, right? So he might be a liability defensively. He gets lost. Sometimes you're wondering what game is he looking at defensively. But on the boards, he is not a liability. He averages 13. He averages 13 rebounds a game. So you want that. Josh Hart also had a big rebounding game, and we still lost the game. So we need to make sure we're rebounding the basketball. That was huge. And then stuff like what happened at the end of the game with OG, I don't expect that to be a regular thing. Or what happened at the end of the last game with Mikal Bridges, I don't expect that to be a regular thing. See, so OG getting beat without fouling Tatum. Those little things cost games against top teams, obviously. But I'm still pretty confident that if the Knicks come to play, they'll be okay, and especially against Detroit in this first round. Detroit, somebody brought it up. I forgot which one of y'all did, and it was a good point you made. Detroit probably felt disrespected that the Knicks sat 3 of their rotation pieces against them, and they really wanted to show their ire and their dislike of that move, right? I mean, right? I think that was obvious. The Knicks didn't play 2 starters, and Mitchell Robinson didn't play. And I still thought we had enough firepower to beat Detroit, but Detroit probably took it as a disrespect. Somebody mentioned it on my channel, and I think he was right. And so I think that's what it was. But I want to tell you something, man. You're making a mistake if you think the Knicks going to get beat up like that in a 7-game series. I'm not saying Cade Cunningham is not tough. I've been telling y'all. I told y'all from the September Detroit was going to be rough. Some of y'all remember. I said y'all better watch Detroit. Detroit's going to come because I knew that Cade was coming into his own. And then they got pieces, the pieces they got around him with Beasley, with Tim Hardaway Jr., with Tobias Harris, and then the youngins they had that's now developing, and that Thompson boy is the real deal. So you had all of that. I knew Detroit was coming. And so Cade Cunningham, I would say for the next 5 seasons, is going to be in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying he will win MVP, but I'm telling you, he's going to be in the MVP conversation for at least the next 5 seasons. That's how good this boy is. So he's going to get what he's going to get. But don't you think that Detroit's going to push the Knicks around for no 7-game series? Hell no. That ain't going to happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. That ain't going to happen. Okay? So I still expect the Knicks to win the series. And again, it's not an excuse, but there are reasons they did not finish as strong as a Tibbs team usually finishes. 2 big reasons. Number one, I was expecting a bigger push from Mitchell Robinson at the close of the season. But as you know, they put him on a minutes restriction. He could not play back-to-backs, and he never played more than 18 minutes in a game. So that hindered us a little bit as far as the Mitch Rob effect. It will not hinder us in the playoffs. That's number one. Number two, I don't think it's fair for any of us to think that we're going to finish strong with Jalen Brunson missing a whole month of March. I mean, really, right? The fact that they went 9-6, that was amazing. Okay, but you can't expect them to finish strong with their best player missing 15 games and then just coming back and still having to get acclimated again. I don't think it was right for us to think they were going to finish strong. See, H-Money, you don't know basketball. You definitely damn sure don't know pro basketball because you're making it known in how you answer in here. But there's a difference. Again, reason can see legitimate reasons versus excuses. That's not an excuse. You cannot. I don't think. Let me ask y'all a question. Here, let's put this fool to rest. Do you think the Celtics would win 60 games without Jason Tatum? Without Tatum? Would Celtics finish as strong as they did without Tatum? Wait, I'm asking a question. Do you think the Celtics would finish as strong as they did without Tatum? If Evan Mobley was missing from Cleveland, would they be the top in the East? If Evan Mobley was missing from Cleveland, would they be the top in the East? Let me ask you a question. Is SGA missed the whole month of March? If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed the whole month of March, would Oklahoma City be as strong as they were? So why the freak do we think it's an excuse for me to say that Jalen Brunson missed 15 games and you can't finish as strong as you want when your best player misses 15 games? Why is it that H Money is sitting here telling me that's an excuse? What the hell is wrong with you? See what I'm saying? When you think about it logically, it makes no sense. Oh, you tired? I'm just tired of you. I think that's what my problem is, H Money. I'm tired of you. I really am. I'm tired of you, man. I'm just tired of you. So goodbye. Goodbye. He's tired of me making excuses. Let me ask y'all again. Make sure I'm on the right track here. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed the whole month of March, would you expect Oklahoma City to finish strong? Just tell me that now. If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander missed the whole month of March for Oklahoma City, would you expect them to finish strong? Now, if he did miss the whole month of March and they did start losing, would that be an excuse? Like, would you say, oh, you're just making an excuse for Oklahoma City? Would that be an excuse or would that be a legitimate reason for them not to finish strong? Right? Okay, let's take it a step further. Let's use Oklahoma City now. So let's say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander misses 15 games. Let's assume Chet Holmgren is out the whole season and he's just coming back in March and they have him on minutes restriction and he cannot play back-to-back. Do you think that would hurt their chances of finishing strong in the West? So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out 15 games and then your Chet Holmgren can only play 1 game of back-to-back and he's minutes restricted. Would that hurt? Of course. But if I say it for the Knicks, it's an excuse, right? So the Knicks are missing their best player for the whole month of March. Mitchell Robinson cannot play back-to-backs. He's on a minutes restriction. And you're surprised that they don't finish strong? But what I'm saying is, Tamar, is that it's not comparing him, it's comparing his effect on his team's success. That's what we're talking about. Catch what I'm saying here. I'm talking about the effect of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the effect of a Chet Holmgren on the team's success, the effect of a Mitchell Robinson, the effect of a Jalen Brunson on the Knicks' success. That's what we're talking about. On their percentage chances of winning. The effect on winning is what we're talking about. So you can compare that because it's the same, apples to apples. So let's go to the Celtics then. If the Celtics were and I'm not even talking about KP because he's been out. But if Jason Tatum is missing a whole month, you trying to tell me they're going to finish second in the East? You trying to tell me they wouldn't lose ground? He going to miss a whole month. Sprained ankle, he misses a whole month. You see, I don't blame nobody. That's the point, Ms. Edwards. It's not always somebody to blame. That's the problem in Knicks Nation. We seem to think like the media thinks. The media is looking for somebody to blame, and y'all bite that catnip and start doing the same thing. You start doing like parakeets. Yep, we got to blame somebody. Got to blame somebody. Somebody's got to be held accountable. That's some bullcrap. It's not Tibbs' fault Brunson missed a month and sprained his ankle. It's not Tibbs' fault that Mitch Roberts on a minutes restriction. It is what it is. It is what it is. Just like it wouldn't be Diagono's fault if SGA missed a month. It wouldn't be his fault if they had to bring Chet Holmgren along slowly. It would not be the coach's fault if Jason Tatum missed a month. It is what it is. It's not nobody's fault. It is what it is. We got to get out of the habit of thinking we got to put a blame on somebody or somebody needs to be held accountable. That's some bull crap. Let me ask you all a question. Because I've been hearing this from some knuckleheads that just I'm going to say, some of them are like parakeets. They hear something and they just chirp it. Listen, what does holding accountable look like? What does that look like? Some of y'all out here talking about somebody needs to be held accountable. What does holding someone accountable look like? How does that look? What is that? What do you consider holding somebody accountable? Because I'm going to tell you what I think y'all are really doing. Some of you that are talking that hate Tibbs and you want them fired, and that's what you're thinking when you say hold them accountable. That's what you're thinking. And I think it's bullcrap. And you know I think that. That's why you don't come out and say it. Oh, somebody needs to be held accountable. Perhaps the coach. You know, that's what Denver just did. And you know what else they just did? They just lost their chance at the championship. That's what Denver just did. And they lost their chance to win it. They're not going to win it now. Why? You can't just fire your coach right before the playoffs. That's stupid. That's stupid. See? Yeah. And see, Wayne Burroughs, that's what I'm saying. See? And let me just warn you. In this channel, it's third rail territory. You start talking about Tibbs. You can't come in here talking about Tibbs. Tibbs, no, he's off limits. And I don't care what you think about it. I will kick your ass out of here. You can't come in here talking about Tibbs. That's off limits. And that's what they're doing when they come in my channel talking about he needs to be held accountable. The Knicks, somebody needs to be held accountable. That's some bull crap for saying I want Tibbs fired and I'm a dumbass because I can't understand that long-term sustainable winning means you keep your coach. Well, this is the thing. What does that look like? Let me ask you all a question. Do you guys really seriously think that Tibbs can work any harder as the head coach? No, listen. Do you think he needs to spend more time in the office? Do you think he needs to spend more time looking at film? Do you really think he's not working hard? Is he Phil Jackson falling asleep? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, the dude is giving blood, sweat, and tears, and y'all are asking for more. Do you realize what that looks like? I mean, that's what I'm saying to you. He can't work any harder. He's putting his all into making this team win. And I feel like it's disrespectful. I really do. A guy is putting his all into making this team win. And he's doing everything he could possibly do, looking at every scenario to see what help us win. And we got amateurs talking about we need him held accountable. Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all got to come up. You got to come up off that. You really do. You got to come up off that. You got to come up off that. You got to come up off that. You're not appreciative of what you have. I'm just going to say it. Y'all not appreciating what you got. Okay? No, you don't make changes like that, Miss Edwards. You don't do it. This ain't high school. This is the league. Let me explain. Because, Miss Edwards, I like you. Miss Edwards, I like you. Okay? No thing. I'm married, so I'm not trying to rap. I like you. So let's explain. In the NBA, players are used to playing roles. And when you get a player in a role, you don't change the role. You keep the role the same. You're going to have some stretches where the role don't look too bad. Then you're going to have some stretches like we have had with Josh Hart, where he looks like all world. Haven't we had stretches where Josh Hart, let me ask you, Miss Edwards, anyone else, haven't we had stretches during the season where Josh Hart looked like he was all world? Haven't we? Where he's getting 20 rebounds, where he's hitting threes, where he's diving on the floor for loose balls. Haven't we had stretches where right? So you're going to get that, but you're going to get like the last 3 games where he sucked. Okay, but you don't change his role. You don't change his minutes. You want him to have what he's used to having. Because in the end, what it ends up, and what Thibodeau does is he has to trust, y'all know this very well, he has to trust the player. Once you gain his trust, he's not going to give up on you. You can have a sucky week, and he's still going to play you the same minutes because he trusts you. He knows that over time, you're going to be okay, and the team's going to be okay. So therefore, it's not reasonable for anybody to expect him to make a knee-jerk change because a guy sucks on a particular night. He doesn't do that because he believes in the guy. He wants him to still play. Okay? No, that's not true, Wayne Burroughs. That's amateur hour. What you're talking about, Wayne Burroughs, let me tell you. I'll tell you what you're talking about. Shamet was shooting the lights out and Tibbs took him out. That's what you're talking about because that was the word, right? Am I lying to y'all? Why did Tibbs take out Shamet? He was shooting lights out. He shouldn't have taken him out. Isn't that what y'all were thinking? Is that right? Is that what you're talking about? Now, everything where there's times when players are playing great and still pulls them, you're talking about a bench piece in Shamet. Am I correct? Is that correct? Okay, listen here. Shamet's role is to come off the bench. His role is not all of a sudden he's hot tonight, we're going to play him 40 minutes. That's high school. That's high school. When a guy come off the bench in high school, Robbie Benson come off the bench and hit 10 threes, you keep him in the game. That's high school. This is the league. Shamet has a role. Yes, he hit 5 threes. Great. But he's not going to play outside of his role. That's what it is. Okay? And it's going to be that way every night because then the guys themselves, they like to know what to expect. So Shamet knows he can hit 5 threes or he can go 1 for 10. He's still getting the same minutes. And that's the most important thing. See, when y'all are doing, when you talk about keep a guy in or pull a guy out, you know who did that? You know who was good at that? David Fisdale. He was doing it. If a guy was hot, he kept him in. If a guy was cold, he pulled him. That's why he had 20 different lineups with David Fisdale. And that's why they only won 17 games. You got to keep the guys in the roles that you have them in because you have them there for a reason. Yep. David Fisdale used to do that. You know, if Kev was hot, he kept Kev in the game. If Kev was cold, he pulled Kev out. That's what amateurs do. Okay, that's what amateurs do. You can't do that. You give a guy a role, you trust him in that role. Whether he's performing on a particular night or not, you keep him in that role because it's long term, not short term. So Hart might suck for a whole week like he did. He wasn't that good this week. I agree. But you keep him in the role that you set him in because you trust him. McCall, he did really some screw-ups this week. There's no doubt. And he looked a little tired to me. To me, it's a pride thing that he just wants to keep playing. But he looked a little tired, like he needed to sit him in it. But you keep him in the same role because that's what you got him for. Okay? That's what y'all are missing. Because he pulls a guy, it's time for the guy to sit because that's his role. I could say so. Curious, Kev. I agree. I would say that 30 minutes for Mitch Rob in the playoffs. I would say I like to be conservative, curious, Kev, on these things. I would say 24. See, I wouldn't mind 30. I'm with you on that. But to me, I would like to see Mitchell Robinson average at least 24 minutes a game. Foul trouble notwithstanding. If he gets more, if he gets 35, but and the reason I could see that is because I hate to say it, but I think we can agree Precious is not going to be big time minutes in the playoff rotation. He's just not. And this is the problem with Precious Achua. It's not that he can't ball. He can ball. The problem is Precious Achua really needs 30 minutes to get off, man. He needs 30 minutes, man. You can't play him 10, 5, 15, and expect him to do his thing. He needs 30 minutes. Okay. And this team is hard to get that. So I can see Cat playing some 4 and Mitch Rob playing center. And then you're going to have Mitch Rob as the 5 and second units as well. And so I can see Mitch Rob getting at least 24 minutes. I would like him to get 30, like Curious Cat. I would like to see him get 30. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. And I love the lineup with him and Cat. What Tibbs does is Cat, Mitch Rob, Deuce, Payne, and Shaman. Sometimes he puts in Brunson for either Payne or Shaman. I'm looking for that in the playoffs. That's a dynamite lineup. And I'm looking for that in the playoffs. And I'm thinking we're going to see that. Yeah, so you want Precious. Precious has always had his best games when he plays at least 30 minutes. Somewhere in the high 20s or more. You get him at 27, 28 minutes, 32 minutes, 40 minutes, you're going to see a big game from Precious. Very rare that he has not performed when playing that level. But it's very difficult unless somebody's hurt for you to get him those minutes. It's very difficult for you to get him those minutes. What's up, Craig? What's up, Corey? It's very difficult for you to get him those minutes. So, that's the problem. And he's not going to be at his best like he did the other night. Now, he played 15 minutes. He only played 15 minutes against Cleveland. Whereas against Detroit, how many minutes he played? He played, against Detroit, Precious. Let's look at his minutes thing. Against Detroit, Precious Achua played 40 minutes, got 10 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 18 points, 8 of 13 from the field, right? Played 40 minutes. The next night against Cleveland, he plays 15 minutes. That's it. 15 minutes. And what does he get? 15 minutes against Cleveland. Let me just make sure I get this in. Against Cleveland, he plays 15 minutes and he gets 0 points. He gets 0 points. See, you can't, he's not good. Some guys just can't play in that role. He's not a bench type guy. He needs to be started. He plays 15 minutes, 0 for 5, no points. He gets 6 boards, 2 steals, and a block, but he's better than that. And unless you're giving him at least high 20s, he's not going to perform at his optimal level. It's like you get a Porsche, right? What's the use of getting a 911 Porsche if you're always going to be in the 30-mile zone? You mean you're not going to get the most out of that ride in the 30-mile zone. Now, if you can open that baby up on the 70-mile zone, or you're on the Autobahn and you could do 100, now you're going to see what a Porsche could do, right? But if you got a Porsche and you always in 35-mile zone, you're not going to see what a Porsche is like. You're not going to understand what you got. That's Precious. Okay. Unless he's playing 25, 30 minutes or more, you're really not going to see what Precious is about playing 15 minutes. But that's all you can give him with Mitchell Robinson there. That's all you could get. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So he doesn't operate as well with less minutes. He operates better when he's getting more minutes. And so I don't know what they're going to do off season. Like you mentioned, J-Dub. I like J-Dub. J-Dub is really good for 10 or 15 minutes. He really can be impactful. Him and Precious are alike in terms of style, but J-Dub is a little bit better coming off that bench, than Precious is. Precious is a better starter, honestly, but It is what it is. So I don't think he's going to get a lot of rotation minutes in the playoffs. He'll get some minutes, but not what's going to make him very effective, you know. So you're going to have your starting five: Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, Cameron Payne, Shamet. That's what you're going to have. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to tell you, the Pistons ain't going to beat up the Knicks like that for no 7-game series. They can get over a couple of games and do it, you know, no doubt. But not. I want to, and especially if the refs let them play like they did. I wouldn't say it's sweep though, but if the refs let them play like they did last Thursday, they let them play physical like that. I like our chances. I like our chances. I do. I like our chances. So can't sleep on Detroit. They're a good team. There's no doubt. We're not even talking about they're a good team. No, I know they are. It's true good for McCormick. They overget, but they are a good team. They play good. That daggone breaker staff has them playing some defense, man. And you get that boy. And this is the thing. There's a difference between drafting a kid that could play defense, that could learn how to shoot, and drafting a kid that can shoot and can't play no defense. Look at Isaac Okoro. When Isaac Okoro came into the NBA, he was already NBA level defense. He could not hit the broadside of a barn. Now you cannot leave him open to shoot the ball. Okay, you cannot leave him open. No, they don't have no playoff experience except for Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., right, and Malik Beasley. They all got playoff experience now. See, so you can't say, but their bench doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. That's true. Their bench doesn't. But I like the Knicks in the series. You know, I'm always going to root for the Knicks, but I think we got a good shot here. I don't want to jinx it by telling us it's going to be a sweep or a definite. I don't want to do that, but I think we got a good shot to beat Detroit in this series. Put it that way. Okay, but Detroit is good, man. They're good. But see, that's what I'm saying. So, but Josh Hart and Okoro are two different style of players. Okoro is an explosive defender. I liked him coming out of. I didn't think he would be drafted 4th, but I liked him at 8. I liked him above Obi, and I like Obi, but I liked Okoro above Obi because of his defense. And I was like, this kid can play as a rookie, you know, because of his defense and the explosiveness that he shows. So now he's still got all that, but he could shoot a spot up jump shot as well. See, so that's what I'm saying. It's better to get a guy that you know can, if you can get one that could play defense on the NBA level as a rookie. It's hard, but the Thompson twins can. Amen and Asor, they can play defense on the NBA level, both of them. Okay, really, both of them. Okay, and they're going to learn how to close games offensively. They're going to be, those two kids are going to be good, really good. Okay, Okoro is now, I'd say, like from last year into this year, he's now becoming a really good spot up shooter. Like he's becoming almost as good a shooter as what's the dude they got from Miami? What's that guy's name? You know the guy I'm talking, Max Strus. Strus is a tremendous spot up shooter. Okoro's getting there, and Okoro got the defense already. So yeah. Hart is a different thing. Hart is a utility. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's a rebounding. He's probably at 6'4". I don't think I'm exaggerating to say. At guys 6'5" or under, he's probably the best rebounder in the NBA. Pound for pound. You want to go pound for pound? Josh Hart's probably the best rebounder in the NBA. Pound for pound, right? Not being 7 feet tall or anything. Then he dives on the floor for the loose ball. He runs the floor. Does he make bonehead plays? He does. But that guy is a glue guy, Swiss Army knife guy that you want on your team. I'd rather have him than not have him on my team. Okay. Right. So Beasley is game to game. You always got to watch him. So they lost to Detroit, but they kept Beasley in check that game. When you look at the Detroit game from this past Thursday, Beasley wasn't a big factor in that game as far as, like in terms of hitting threes. He wasn't a huge factor. Matter of fact, I don't think he scored more than 10 points. Let me just say, I think Beasley was like at 10 points, something like that. So they kept him in pretty good check that night. Let me just see here. Beasley scored, where is he? He scored 10. Yeah, he scored 10. He had, he was 4 of 8. He did not hit a three-pointer. They kept Beasley in check that night. Cade Cunningham went nuts. They had Duran was bullying bully balling. Asur Thompson don't look like much on the stat sheet, but the boy's defense was there. He was definitely there. Okay, so yeah, we can't sleep on him. Can't sleep on him. Don't sleep on Detroit, y'all. Don't do it. That's a bad mistake. Do not do that. Do not do that, man. Okay, do not do that. Well, HRM great. With this week off coming up, I think they'll be all right. And you know they don't play back-to-backs in the playoffs, so they get at least a night off or 2 nights between games. I think he'd be all right. I think Josh is going to be really good come playoff time. I think he's going to be really good. So we'll see. I think we'll be all right, though. I think we'll be all right. Cade on K, OG. Oh, definitely OG. I think we learned that, right? Definitely OG, Guilford. Definitely OG on K. Definitely OG on K. Tibbs might go with McCall because he trusts McCall. Y'all got to understand, some of y'all don't get it. When Tibbs trusts a guy, he trusts him. So even though we might all think, but damn, you better put OG on him if you want him to get stopped. He might, and I think you're right if you say that. But I wouldn't be surprised to watch Tibbs start off McCall on K Cunningham, just to show him that I trust you. I believe in you, boy. Go out there and lock that man up. I think I could see that. Tibbs is like that, y'all. Some of you don't give him enough credit. He really trusts his dudes. When they're his dudes, he trusts them. He trusts them. Okay. He had Deuce trying to guard K, right? And K was bullying Deuce. So, but I think y'all are right. OG is the proper assignment. I would agree with that. I'm not going to argue with y'all on that because I can't deny that. OG, you want to put the demon on McKay. Okay, yeah. You want to put the demon on K. You want to put the 6'8", 245 pounds of fury demon on that boy. Yeah, you definitely do. Definitely do. So we'll see. We'll see, though. We'll see. Hey, man, it's time for me to get to the range, fire these 44s, shoot this 12 gauge, do my thing. Always good, y'all. Once we got rid of the knuckleheads, we had a good time. I would say, once we got rid of the knuckleheads, we who are really Knicks fans had a good time. And I'm sorry, some people say, we could still be Knicks fans and be critical. No, hell no, not my channel. If you're a Knicks fan, you down with the orange and blue. And you don't come negative with the orange and blue. You down with the orange and blue. You can't come in here saying, I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to be negative. Get the hell out of here. Go root for the Brooklyn Nets. Goodbye. No, I'm going to be shooting. I'm taping the game, though. I got it on record. I'm taping the game. I'll be back at like 4 o'clock to watch the game, eat me a steak and watch the game. But yeah, I'm not watching it live. No, I'm going to be shooting today. It took me a month to get this spot, and I'm going to be shooting my gas. I'm going to be doing my thing with these. I got 444 Magnums I'm bringing to the range today. 4. And I'm going to be popping them. And I got a 12 gauge. 12 gauge action. We're going to be popping today. Kapow! Kapow! That's what we're doing today. We're going to be doing the John Morant thing today. We're going to be doing the Clint. But I got the game tape. I'll be catching it. Oh, yeah. Today's all 44 Magnum day. I got 4 44s I'm bringing out there, plus the 9 I carry, and we're going to be doing business. Cherokee Indian. Yeah, I'm bringing John Morant stuff out there today. We'll catch the game, though. After the game, we'll catch it. Ain't going to miss nothing. We'll be all right. Y'all please enjoy it. Enjoy it live if you catching it. Enjoy your Sunday. What you say, Lonnie? Oh, God. Y'all are crazy, man. Only in New York could we get brothers like y'all. All right. So enjoy it. We'll be catching y'all. Shalom.